just a gigolo, and everywhere I go, people know the part I'm playing.
You're probably wondering about that music. We're going to get to it. Imagine Bridget Jones' Diary meets Under the Tuscan Sun. And what you have is a novel by Toronto author Catherine Murphy called Gentlemen, Gigolos, and Gelato. Sounds like a lot of fun. Welcome to the show, Catherine.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. What is Gentlemen, Gigolos, and Gelato about?
Well, it's a story set in Tuscany, Italy, and it's a story about Adriana Cassidy, a born and bred New Yorker of Italian descent on her mother's side. And she wakes up one day at the age of 39, facing the big 40 birthday squarely in the face, and realizes her life is nowhere where it should be or where she imagined it to be, and not for the better. She's been divorced for 6 years. She's been in a dating rut for almost as many years. She's in a dead-end job, and she's had to move in with her best friend out of economic necessity. And she thinks that nothing is ever going to happen to her that's good again, and that life is over, and that she's over the proverbial hill, until she receives an invitation to travel to Italy and take possession of a family property that's been bequeathed to her by her great aunt.
Why doesn't that ever happen to me?
Exactly. We've been waiting for that phone call.
I think we all have. That's true. So she decides to just upend her life and do something that she's never done and take a leap of faith, decides to stay in Italy. She's fallen in love with the romance of Italy, and she turns the dilapidated villa into an inn for women only and staffed by gentlemen exclusively. And in the course of that, she discovers a lot about herself. She discovers that she has a lot of talents that she didn't know she had. She regains her confidence that she lost while she went through her divorce, and she unearths a deep, dark family secret. And in the process also falls for two very charming, very Italian, very good-looking men who are very different, too, and has to decide between the two of them at the end of the book.
So what prompted you to write this book? Because it's more than just about finding romance in Italy. There are other themes that you explore. What were you trying to get across?
Yeah, well, it all started as a project where I was writing a book that I wanted to read. I couldn't find the kind of books that were set in places that I loved, like Provence in France or Tuscany in Italy. Any of those books that were set in those places were really for younger women in their 20s and their early 30s, and nothing for the 40-plus woman. So I just set about writing about what I wanted to read and something that would give me an escape into the place that I really wanted to be. And while romance is really at the heart of the book, there's also a theme of romance with place and a love of Tuscany. And that's really what I wanted to impart and get readers to really be drawn into the location and into the spectacular scenery and the lifestyle of Tuscany.
You also you took Italian studies.
I did,
university.
yes.
So that must have played into your love of Italy.
Absolutely. I discovered Tuscany when I was 15 on a trip with a family friend, and have just fell in love with it then, and have been back so many times. I studied Italian. I lived in Tuscany in Florence for a number of years, and I just fell in love with the place and the lifestyle.
And you've traveled to a lot of countries. Now, my father was a diplomat, and we went every summer for a month to Italy as a child. And I mean, I know exactly I could move there tomorrow, but I still need to learn Italian.
It's a beautiful language. It's the language of romance for sure. And it's not that difficult.
But I am going to Italian heaven. So I have a big table in the piazza reserved. We're just going to eat pasta, have gelato, drink wine, and buy shoes.
And hang out with gigolos, apparently.
Gigolos, yeah, absolutely.
Now, you're. I mean, this is your debut book. You've already got a second one coming out, Lemons, Lovers, and Lavender, set in Provence.
In Provence, my other favorite place in the world, absolutely. And that will revolve around Adriana's best friend, Kate, who is introduced and is a part of this book. And then I'm hoping also to turn this into a trilogy with the third book taking place in Morocco.
So it'll all be for the over 40 set?
All for the over 40 set, absolutely. And really with the idea that life doesn't end at 40, that really wonderful things can still happen, and that there is reinvention possible at any time in your life.
That's a very topical subject, because we talk about the new 40 and the new 50 and the new 60. And I talk to people, young people, who say that now with new stem cell treatments, they're expecting some of them to be living well into their hundreds.
That's right. And we have to keep reinventing ourselves. We can't always stay the same person that we are.
Yeah.
Now, when you're not writing, you work as a sustainability consultant?
That's correct.
What
yes.
is that?
I help companies with their sustainability practices, so doing more than just making money, looking at their social and environmental impact as well and how they can improve that.
And you must get a lot of vacation. Because how can you write about Tuscany without being there?
Well, we try to go as often as we possibly can. My husband and I just came back from there for a few weeks ago and had rented a villa just south of Siena, and it was just beautiful as always.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're also training to become a certified life coach.
That's correct.
So how does this all, they seem to connect to me somehow. I'm just not quite sure how.
I just have a lot of different paths in my life. I've done a lot of reinvention since I turned 40, and the life coaching is an opportunity that was given to me as a result of some work that I do with students around career training at the Schulich School of Business. And so I have all these different lives that somehow come together, and they come together in the book as well. There is a life coach as a central character in the book as well.
What else do you see yourself drawn to?
Well, I think I'm really drawn just to the Mediterranean lifestyle, and I often get asked why Tuscany, why Provence, and I think it's a lifestyle that is so different from what we live here in North America, where it's very hectic and it's all about work, 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 and schedules, whereas the life in that part of the world just seems a little bit more authentic and real. Going to the markets, going to have drinks with friends at the local bars or cafes, going for a stroll in the piazza, shopping for shoes, all those wonderful things that I think people are really drawn to that way of life, and I certainly am.
But could you live it every day? Because the big irony about Italy is it's the most inefficient place to do business in the world, because a 1 o'clock appointment could be 3 o'clock.
Absolutely. That's something that you have to be able to deal with. I don't think Italy is as inefficient as we all say. It is. There's lots of great businesses. It's a thriving country. And absolutely, I could do this full time. Yeah. No question about it.
We're talking about the Mediterranean. Well, we just came back from Croatia, and I adored Croatia. And it was sort of like not what I had envisioned in my mind at all. Dubrovnik certainly was not. And it's just fascinating. And yes, that lifestyle, it's much, I loved getting up early, going to the market, getting our breakfast, getting our, snacks for the road kind of thing. And then finding little places to just, stumble into at night for dinner. It was lovely.
Absolutely.
You should go there too.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been told that it's like a mini Italy, yes.
But it's sort of the whole idea of getting off the treadmill, off that sort of, and working to live rather than living to work.
That's right. And really living in the moment and enjoying the beauty. Again, coming back to Italy, just the beauty of the landscape, the architecture, the beautiful people, the food, the wine. Everything is about really just taking a moment to enjoy.
Well, I can't wait to read this book and to read the next book and the one after that.
Was actually sitting down and writing the book a choice, or did you feel you had to do it?
Well, it came about as a project because my husband was working in the States for a little bit, and when we weren't together, I had some time on my hands, and I just sort of started writing and putting on paper everything that I loved about Italy, and it was almost a magical experience, the way things came together, the plot lines, just little elements of the character development, and even the title. I often get asked about the title. Everything was sort of in the zone when everything comes together, and it wasn't difficult at all. It was just a pure pleasure.
Now, do you think when you hit the big 5-0, you'll have to do this over again? And the big 6-0 and the big 7-0?
Well, I think, again, it's all about reinvention.
Yeah.
And I look forward to all the things that are still ahead.
Tell people where they can get the book, Gentlemen, Gigolos, and Gelato.
It's available on Chapters, indigo.ca, amazon.ca, and amazon.com.
And Catherine, do you have a website as well?
I do, catherinemurphy.com.
.com.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
This is what she said. Stay with us.